Welcome back, tribe. I have an episode here recommended by you guys. This guy says, sick of the UK. He's leaving ASAP. He has less than 2,000 subs. He's got nearly 75,000 views on here. So the boys across the pond, man, are just as sick as us. Let's see.
Hey, I thought I'd post this video. I'm not even going to ask is anyone, because I know most people are. Sick to death of this country now. It's at rock bottom.
Tell them.
Do you know what, though? It's so f***ing disheartening what's going on. This Labour government have screwed us all. All. I never thought I'd say I'd miss Rishi Sunak, you know. Fucking hell, I know it wasn't good under him, but Jesus. You've got kids running about fucking stabbing other kids who don't give a shit. Because they think the jail system is like, oh yeah, it's great in jail. They've got no fucking fear. You've got kids hanging about bus stops harassing people. Every other day you go online, you go on Facebook or X or something, and you see a video every day of someone kicking off on a tram, a train, a fucking bus.
Unlivable.
What has happened to this country? What has happened to it?
Liberals, progressives.
Do you know what? I just feel like giving up. You wonder why people are selling their properties now and just fucking off, going, living abroad, living in fucking camper vans, because inflation is just above anything. It's like...
This is real.
Do you know, it just fucking grinds my gears. It's so fucking disheartening on what's going on. Treating our own people, own citizens of the country.
Like
the
shit.
Farmers today getting taxed on inheritance, what they've paid fucking tax on. You wonder why they're going down fucking London in the tractors and that to protest. They're not getting listened to. You've got the fucking Labour Party in WhatsApp groups slagging us off. Racist.
Yep. I was just going to say that. Because you want to see your borders closed, because you want to see your country doing well, prioritizing its citizens, not all these fucking migrants coming overseas, you know, on their little rink-a-dink boats are being flown in by said government. That makes you a racist because you don't want to see it. These people don't assimilate. There is no even plan to assimilate them. They just bring them in by the boatloads, like population replacement or something, right? They're trying to replace all the labor because nobody here is having kids. And by the time their second-gen kids are brought up in this society, they won't be having kids either. So it's like a Band-Aid on what the real issue is. And then, you know, the corporations want these people brought in because they'll work for cheap, for nothing, and they won't complain, right? So while supporting them, your hard-earned money, you busting your ass, getting taxed up to 50-something%. They have an effective tax rate up to 70% in some countries in Europe. It's like 65%. That's insane for an American to imagine. Imagine, bro, once you make over something like 40,000 pounds or 50,000 pounds, your tax rate gets bumped to like 50. Your effective tax rate, once you factor in VAT tax, which is their version of sales tax, once you factor in luxury taxes, once you factor in whatever tax it is you are paying just to, you know, be in this society, the effective rates go up into the 70s for some countries. What the hell? And your money goes to create parallel societies where places like Sweden have become the bomb capital of Europe, has some of the highest homicide rates. One of the most dangerous countries in Europe now. It used to be one of the safest. It used to be a model of what, you know, a progressive society looks like until they opened their borders, until they went wacky to the left, until they got really radical on the idea of what a human being is, how they assimilate and how they deal with crime, consequences, and just overall respect for the countries they're coming in. These people don't respect your culture. That's why they're creating parallel societies, and they will breed you out of existence. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a racist thing to say. You know, I've been seeing online, the conversation has been, well, if they say things like Africa should be for Africans, Europeans and European enterprises need to leave, and they need to leave Africans alone. And okay, great. Well, the counter argument would be, well, then Europe's for Europeans, then everybody else out. Why is it that they're supposed to have their own pride, their own cultural inheritance, cultural rights, separation from everybody else? But when Europeans do the same shit, when white people do the same shit, it's a problem. You see, people are beginning to get tired, fatigued of all this, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're a supremacist talk for every little thing you disagree on that may have what is termed as conservative or far-right values. That's smearing campaigns. I want closed borders. Doesn't make me a Nazi. I want my kids to be able to go to school safely and not get stabbed by some migrant. Doesn't make me a racist. I want jobs to be available for my kids and myself, my wife, when we want to go into the labor force and not be replaced by migrants. Doesn't make me racist. They don't accept us in their countries. If you go to China and try to demand your rights, what do you think the CCP is going to do with your ass? If you go to India and try to demand some rights because you offshooted some parallel society because too many people migrated there and there's no way the government's going to help you assimilate, do you think they give a shit? Do you think the Indian government, the Chinese government, the Sri Lankan government, any government in Colombia, wherever, name Brazil, name a country, you think they would be as accommodating or would help your ass? So why are Europeans putting this upon themselves? Don't know. Don't care. All I know is it's not working. You can see. Look at the crime statistics. Finland, oh my God, just did their crime statistics. Something like 27x, the Syrian migrants and African migrants, like 16x, 27x for assaults against women versus the native population. Imagine that. Imagine that. They're now barely having the balls to publish the statistics on crime and reporting ethnic divides of who is perpetrating these crimes. And the numbers are coming out. Shocking. Shocking. But again, this makes you a Nazi racist. To say this out loud, guys. While your society crumbles in front of you, while you can't find a job, while your government benefits don't exist, but you're fresh off the boat, you rip up your passport, you pretend you're somebody else from a different country, you pretend you're a refugee, what they try to call themselves, and you get government benefits, and you get placed into housing, and you get food funds for the month. The rest of us have to pay for these taxes somehow by working to death. You see this system? And people are surprised that Europe is turning nationalist, that there's a far right movement, and that they're starting to look sideways at all these migrants, that the AfD, for example, Germany, is rising dramatically. And there's extremist talks about absolutely closing the borders, kicking out every single fucking migrant and stopping any benefits to said refugees. Come on, bro. Come on.
Hoping the old people who've paid.
And by the way, how fucked up is this for Brexiteers? You left the EU because you didn't want to deal with EU's policies on migration, only to somehow be one of the worst when it comes to migrant policies by yourselves. You got fucked over by Brexit and all the money that was coming in the open market that you could trade with. And then you still implemented probably some of the worst immigration policies. What is your government doing? And we forgot you could get arrested. This man could literally get arrested. Depending on what he says in this YouTube video, he could legitimately be arrested. The cops will knock down on his door. Can you imagine that? Never give up your guns. Americans watching this, you should absolutely pay attention to what's going on in Europe. Never, ever give up your fucking guns. Your Second Amendment it's God's given right. That's how you should consider it. Anybody that puts their fingers on your guns, never, ever, ever, ever vote for them in office. These are the reasons. Australians, you did it to yourselves also. You gave up all your weapons, and now look at the crooked government you're under. It's insane. Tyranny is everywhere. The only thing stopping you are literally the people. I would say you could vote your way out of this, but it kind of seems like you can't in some of these European countries. Romania tried to vote their way out of some of this. Guess what happened? Long dick of the law from the EU and America came down and said, nah, you're going to redo these.
In to this fucking country all the life, getting shit on. No winter fuel allowance, but we're sending fucking money abroad to Pakistan, to Ukraine. Streets are a shithole. Streets are a fucking shithole. I grew up in East Manchester, and I swear to God, late 80s, early 90s, beautiful. Everyone knew each other. You knew your neighbours. You got to clip down the fucking ear hole off your parents if you give any shit to a neighbour or a shopkeeper. Now you don't know anyone. It's gone. The communities have gone.
Racist.
And it's a fucking shame. It's a damn fucking shame what is going on.
Nazi.
Schools are overrun.
White supremacy.
Catholic schools, Protestant schools. They're not Catholic.
Extremist.
They're not Protestant.
Extremist. Alt-right.
I swear to God, I am thinking, I'm in uni, I'm doing a business degree in uni, right? I'm an Uber driver that's my job.
Big
right? Even my fucking job saturated with out of fucking town drivers coming into Manchester.
Colonizer.
There's a loophole. If you work on an app, you can do it. So my trade went down because all the influx of other drivers coming in.
You deserved it.
Anyway, I'm doing a business degree.
That's what they say. You can read the comments. You deserve it for colonialism. You deserve to pay for the sins of the past, apparently. That's insane to think, right? Imagine you're being born today. You happen to be a native Brit, and then somebody who wasn't born in your country, doesn't give a shit, will flee the moment war pops off. They have no blood ties to the soil, does not care about British society, When it comes time to defend Britain, they will flee back to their shitholes that they came from. Trust me, I know. I am an immigrant myself to the United States. I've heard the conversations other immigrants had. The moment shit pops off, the moment things happen in these countries where these fresh migrants are coming and they never had to work to come here, their morals, their values, their character, you already know what it is. They will flee right back to their countries after the government stops them from sucking on that teat, that free taxpayer money that's going to them to support them in these countries. It's just the brutal truth. There is no loyalty. It is what it is. Unless you fought to get there legally and you escaped real tyrannical governments back home and you assimilate in the culture, for example, like migrants used to back in the day in America, consider yourselves all American. We're never going back. Fuck communism, for example, like Eastern Europeans that escaped early like we did. Never going back, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Hate the government, warn Americans about communism today because they're so dangerously close to embodying it on Team Blue. Like, hey, you don't know what bread lines are. You don't know what it is like to wait in line for just a packet of sugar, or only being able to drive on certain days if you're a man or a woman, or, rationing gas because it's only available on Wednesdays. You have no idea the shit that like hardcore Eastern Europeans were warning Americans about. Even today, I tell people about that shit too. Like, you're crazy to want some of these socialist policies. It's actually insane. So you have people that are freshly arrived in your country that won't fight to defend it. You don't know your community. They don't care about knowing you. They form parallel societies. They will not be assimilated. They only look out for their own people. We're just being honest. You see it in the UK. They don't care. They don't care all across Europe. They don't care. In America, when they cross the border, they don't care. What is the language proficiency? Ask. How many years have you been in this country and you can't speak the language? Just one example of integration. Very simple. Why doesn't the government force these people to speak the language at native level within 5 years of moving there? You have to do a check every single year. You must go in and do a test on your proficiency with the government. And by year 5, you're supposed to be considered like expert level, native level, whatever. And if you don't, you're kicked out. It's very simple, dude. That's one way to get people to assimilate. How the fuck is it that you can live in your own country, but you can't go down certain towns, cities, communities, and you're not able to even basic communication? You can't have basic communication with certain people. Or you're not even welcome. It's like a no-go zone where even the police don't go. They have no-go zones in Sweden. Can you imagine? Sweden, one of the most forward egalitarian societies, have no-go zones even where the cops don't go. And they had, I don't know, a dozen bombings already. We're barely into 2025. A dozen bombings in Sweden. Okay. The same UK government that is shielding mass grooming gangs from a certain part of the world won't even name them. Won't release the statistics, won't audit themselves on this for a reason. Ask why. Why is this happening?
Green unit. I'm in my 3rd year, so I go on a Friday, Saturday, and I swear to God, when I get that degree, I am leaving. I am leaving this fucking country. I am not staying here. I fear for my children. I fear for my grandchildren. It's just so disfucking-heartening. Take me back to the 90s or even late 80s, and it was fucking normal. What has gone on ever since COVID? It feels like there's been a fucking time shift. We've got into another fucking thing where it's just all shit.
Just remember, this is what the left, or wherever party you're from, whatever country you're from, the left side of the party, whatever you call them, this is what they consider far-right talking points. This is what's considered Nazi propaganda in Germany right now. AfD has very similar talking points. The very people on the street when they get interviewed has similar talking points. Immigration's out of control. We fear for our lives and our safety. Crime has skyrocketed. There is not enough money in the coffers of the government to support these people on these welfare programs. Our population is aging and dying. Everything's getting expensive. We have housing shortages. We can't have these people here structurally. The infrastructure cannot support these people. We need to help the native population. Have more kids, get more money, be taxed less. Where is the help for the natives who pay in the system? There isn't. We just bring people in by the boatload to replace you for cheaper. And then they will then not pay into the system because the next batch will come in. So the next batch comes in. At one point, you're going to wake up in a country where you don't even recognize your countrymen. And then they wonder, why is it turning into a third world shithole? Okay, dude. Whatever happened to actual immigration, that was high skilled only. What happened to having standards? Let people in your country, if they're developing fucking rocketeering technology, if the latest biotech engineering, the latest AI development and research, robotics, all this crazy shit. What happened to that? What happened to attracting the best and brightest of the world to your country? Why are we wholesale in the West in general just taking the lowest of the low third worlders and expecting them to become like doctors, engineers, rocket scientists? Come on, dude. What's happening? It's is it racist to ask these questions? Am I a far right Nazi for asking these questions? Please, somebody tell me. It's insane.
Anyway, that's been rant over.
Put other comments saying the worst thing is that the king is with them and a WEF member. This dude retired about 50 years of work for this traitor to rob me. Wow. I feel your pain, total frustration. I'm torn between depression and rage. The whole system is a problem. As a father of a son who lost a limb serving this country, I am sick to the pit of my stomach at what has been allowed to happen to this country. Future generations will suffer badly for this. My grandfather would be rolling in his grave to see what the country he fought for has become. Perhaps he fought for the wrong side. Jesus. Nobody should pay inheritance tax. I utterly hate weak leaders. I consider Starmer nothing short of a criminal. 30 plus years in the making. It's just the beginning. The decline is accelerating. I left for the United States 8 years ago. I pretty much had it good. I was working as a subcontractor on network rails, HVAC systems. Happy to be over here. I have a beautiful family, and a family business was generated over $4 million last year. America has given me way more than England has in the 32 years I've spent there. These are real people. I'm 66 and feel the same as you. This is more than just a change. It's unreal what is happening. I would give anything for the 80s and 90s again. Absolutely anything. 56-year-old male. I lived abroad for many years and just returned to the UK. I've noticed almost everyone I've spoken to says exactly the same thing. The words I would use are anger, sadness, defeat, depression, despair, rage. This country isn't even on its knees. It's on life support. This decline is planned, I think, because I just can't see any other explanation. To anyone with an IQ above 6, sheesh, can see what the government is doing, actively destroying this country. They're bleeding the citizens dry. Anyone who tries to have an opinion is automatically labeled right-wing and shut down or put in jail. It's going to get worse, a lot worse. This man is just giving voice to everything we are thinking. I have never known a more hated government. Even the blokes I've argued with in the past cannot believe how bad he is. Was in the grocery store today. The ladies behind me looking absolutely fed up. Then got on the bus. The men sat at the back looking angry and on the verge of kicking off at someone. Bus driver is cold and unfriendly as he deliberately refused to stop for a lady with her child. She looks absolutely appalled he hasn't stopped for her. People are unbelievably unhappy now and mean to each other. This country isn't a good place to live anymore. It's horrible. It goes on and on and on, dude. And this is the populist message. This is the populist encapsulated, the feelings of the entire nation. I'm telling you, this is everything you see on the news, these left-wing medias, these organizations. It's all fucking funded by the government. We're seeing it in the United States, just the impact U.S. aid had overseas on degenerate messaging, leftist policies, progressive liberalism, rot, the socialist rot that's kicking off the decline of the West. This dude has the opinion of millions of people. And if you say it online, at least in the UK or even in Europe in general now, because they've come out with their own censorship laws EU-wide to combat foreign election interference. That's what they call it. That's what they call your free speech going to shit. Foreign election interference. You believe that? For your own good. We're going to suppress what you read, see, hear, and as well as what you decide to say. Because we don't like it. Because it's election interference. It's misinformation, malinformation. Such bullshit, dude. Democracy backsliding into tyranny, or we should say naturally evolving into it. We need to go back to republic system. The republic, where the power is in the people's hands. A lot of these, who the fuck is van der Leyen? Who are these elected officials? Nobody chose them. A secret group of people got together and elected half of these bureaucrats in the EU. The people never voted for them. Did you vote for Ursula? Nope. Did you vote for Anthony Fauci? Nope. Yet they've had massive impacts that affected you day to day. Isn't it crazy? A lot of these bureaucrats were selected, not voted for. Isn't that wild? It's time to start asking questions and looking up, because this system is horseshit and it is bleeding you dry. And you could feel it every single day. How much you put up with it is your choice. But I guarantee you, you keep putting up with it, it's going to keep getting worse. We're going to get at a point here in Europe where there's going to be massive protests nationwide. People are going to be angry in the streets. If they don't fucking get out, topple governments through peaceful means, reform, all that stuff, your kids will be in a world of hurt. So, all right. Anybody who feels this way, we'll see you guys on the next one. You know, you fucking Nazis, you goddamn commies, you scum, far right, alt-right supremacist, whatever. We'll catch you on the next one, boys. Don't fall for any of the propaganda. Just make sure, even though we shit on the people on the left, they're brain dead. They're being propagandized. They need to be woken up. There's plenty of people that have woken up to the bullshit. It needs to happen in way larger numbers because, geez Louise, that's the only way this is really going to change, by reaching across the aisle and making everybody look up instead of at each other. We'll see you on the next one.